And today, we're still struggling. But one day, if the Bible is right, we'll pay for it all. David said that. All right. Now, I'm going to name some of the things that black people had to endure, and how many of it was. Do you all know that there were about 12 million American Negroes, at that time were African Negroes, that were cast off of ships in the Middle Passage. And on my poster down here, I brought a picture to show you how they put slaves on the ship for the maximum overload. They would put 500 on the ship. Now it takes from the Horn of Africa to Houston, Texas, on this kind of ship with a sail. It took 87 days. That meant a slave had to be tied down on his back, or her back, for 87 days, not able to move. Can you imagine in just a minute, if you lay down on the floor here and let it move for 80 days, what it would look like? And what you would smell like?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea? And then when they brought buckets for them to eat out of, and then sometimes they bring a bucket that they could take their hands and clean it up. And sometimes the bucket they eat out of and the one they clean up with the same bucket.
Oh my God.
For 87 days. And the ones that died, they would cast them overboard. Ships sailing those waters now, sharks still follow them. Because the ones that died, they just throw them overboard. It was so profitable that a slave on the Horn of Africa cost $25 on the market. In Houston, Texas, they bring 400. So a man carrying a ship, anchoring the ship with 500 people on it, it was quite a profit. It was so profitable until your government and mine got into the slave business. They started making boats to handle slaves. And it was a profitable organization. If half of them died, it was still a profit. Now, even President Obama went over to the place where he wrote them out. And if Obama had a baby in her arms, it would be several years before this baby can be sold. So what they do, they take a baby from her and throw her in the ocean. And then that mother would be fixed for that 87-day journey, minus her child. So we've endured a lot. And we still got some enduring to do. That's why right now, some of y'all might know it, but y'all are sitting in church today for the same reason. You know, I didn't come to church because I didn't have anything else to do. I come to church because I want to make heaven my home. I'm tired of this. And in order to do that, there's some suffering I have to do here.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have known what I know now before I was born. I would have told my mother and father, no thank you. I'll take Sam Walton. But I had nothing to do with it. So I came here, as I won't be here too long, but I came here as the children of slaves. I was born 60 years after slavery was over. So I got a picture of my grandfather. I said, if I do my own, I got a picture of my grandfather and my grandmother, my mother and father, finally, least of all, me. So I thought I'd look up my grandfather. He comes from Letcher County, Arkansas. At one time, he belonged to the governor of Arkansas, my great-great-grandfather. Then I was wondering, why am I up here? Letcher County is good for coal. But coal was so cheap and salt was so high until they walked from Letcher County, Arkansas to Mexico. Did y'all know the salt mine in Mexico at one time? My grandfather's still on the book, great-grandfather's still on the books in Mexico as owning 10 acres. You know why? They had a salt mine right outside of Mexico, and I went out there to it. I finally found it and went to the flat books in Mexico. His name's there right now. When Ulysses Grant came to Chicago and was having trouble here in Missouri, right here in Perry and the surrounding areas, and they sent General Grant here to get rid of the people that were here, had slaves in Mexico. Did y'all know the courthouse in Mexico was General Grant's first headquarters? And what he done, he come here and he put such a battle on that the white people ran for the South and left the salt mines and everything. And my great-grandfather was one of them. So Grant had no use for salt mine. He split it up to the slaves. Right now in the books in Mexico, my grandfather's there, where his part came to 10 acres. And then I can take you and show him his grave. And I walked out there one day and found out where he lived. Now you can't talk to people who have been gone for several hundred years. But I would like to have showed him. I finally found you. There's no chains on my arm now.
Amen.
There's no chains on my leg now.
All right. Hallelujah.
But would you believe I'm still not free?
All right.
He couldn't hear me. So they had a child, which is my grandfather. He was a slave until he was 5. And by that time, they done farmed them out. You know, back in the olden days, if you had a bunch of children, you could farm them out to different slave owners. So he got farmed out to some slave owners. Well, they did in Mexico at that time. I got a picture of him where he comes down to near New London, Missouri. And he was 5 when he freed slaves. Can you imagine what a 5-year-old would do when you tell him he's free? He'd go to the end of the road, but it'd make no difference whether he went to the right or left. He's 5 years old, he's completely helpless. So he walked to some people. The chances of doing this is very slim. And he walked and got taken in by the Briscoes over New London. And we know this. And the prosecuting attorney in New London was his grandson. And he and me the same age. And we both know that at one time he owned my grandfather. But I'd like to take something out to the world. The man that owned my grandfather is buried in a tomb that's on above the ground. And the reason reason for that is he was riding one day and lightning struck the horse he was on, killed the horse, and they thought it killed him. And they took him home to make the funeral arrangements. He could hear them talking, but he couldn't move. Finally, before he got him put away in the ground, he came to. But he promised they would never put him underground again. That place is still in New London. I'll take you over and show it. Where my grandfather, great-grandfather standing is about half a mile from that place. Most of the slaves, when they freed, they were really young, went back to work for the same people that owned them. They weren't going to make any money anyway. So, can you imagine the United States would pay people from a foreign country to come over here and give them land? When the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, the United States turned loose 2 million slaves that didn't have a dime, and they wouldn't give up any. So they were turned loose to walk the roads. And everybody on the road was their enemy. So all they could do was just walk. Until today, we find ourselves, we don't walk uphill anymore. We walk as we're going down here. And today I'm so glad I looked up, I was looking in the courthouse. Of course, by the prosecuting attorney owning my grandfather, he's figured to owe me something. He don't. But he said, you can go anywhere in this courthouse you want to. So I found a vault. And I went in and opened that vault. He sat down. You can look at anything in here, but don't pick nothing out. Oh, I found so many things I would like to took out of there. I still look at my grandfather's history. I got the medley.
No.
I found out some of my people have been in trouble for bootlegging, for murder. And the judge came by one day and said, what are you doing in here? I told him, the prosecuting attorney